Yes, please. If you can just pass them round.
Right.
Yeah.
If you want to just take a copy and pass them
There's a
back.
copy of a lesson plan. We're not actually going to do it now, but I think it's going to be useful for you later on. Okay? So, there you are. Can you pass them around, please? Yes. Okay, you've got them all? Yeah? Right. Thanks. Okay. Right, so shall we start then? Ready? After the coffee break? You'll have to excuse me if my voice sort of is not too clear at times, but I think I've got a temperature right now, typical of that time of year. Okay, so, right, I would like to tell you that the introduction of my book, as Sue asked me to do, is not exactly all we're going to be doing this morning. I'll be telling you why I wrote it and who I use it for, but I would like to tell you a little bit about my experience as a teacher, since most of you are very young and just probably beginning. And I'll tell you that we have been really lucky to experience the previous seminar with all the material and everything that is nowadays available, right? Now, what I would like to say is that many teachers train, at least that was my case, many teachers train to teach adults, but in practice, not only are many of them teaching young learners, but they also end up having to teach preschoolers, right? I don't know if any of you have this experience so far. I mean, are you all teachers of adults, or anybody teaches young kids?
Yeah.
Right, okay, good. So this might be helpful to you. Now, why I find that teaching adults is all we are geared to and we are prepared to doing, and we have all these lesson plans and all this material and everything. When I started about 40 years ago, a bit more actually, in Universitat de Lleida in Lleida, in Raimat, what the exercise we have just done today, going to these big posters on the wall and having to choose vocabulary, was prepared with postcards from England, was prepared by me and another teacher, a school teacher, with photographs we had from our trips in the summer, from schools, courses, from just postcards we had sent to our family or friends. Now, we had no material at all. We had no books, except a few beginning books with long, extremely long conversations, which were very, very difficult to use in the classroom with very young children, because at the time we were working with very young children. So we had to be really creative, and we had to, most of us, prepare our own work. We were a good team of teachers, and it was the beginning, as I say, many years ago. And obviously, each time one of us went to England, brought some material over. So in that sense, that was okay. But we had to develop our own creativity. We had to work thinking, what can I do in the classroom to get children involved? I mean, I was sitting here and I felt completely new to that system of preparing exams, because I haven't done it for ages. But at the same time, I was thinking, oh, that's great. You know, we've got a tape. We've got pictures. There's a recording. You listen to this recording and you've got pictures you can point at. Children can see lovely colors and they can do lots of things, whereas I personally, at that time, had no possibilities at all, right? Now, my teaching career began there. That will soon bring you to my book. It began in the school and it went on to the Agricultural College of Engineering. Okay, La Escola d'Enginyers Agrònoms. If you are from Lleida, you know where that is. I had to teach adults, and I had to teach adults who were coming to my lessons mainly to pass exams, which is another frustrating point. So first frustrating point was I had no material for the young ones, and the second one was I had all these people coming to the classroom once in a blue moon, you know, from time to time, just to get a few notes, to know when the exam was going to be, what the program was going to be like, and that was about all, right? And then I saw them at the end of the school year coming to complain about the result of the exams and the reports, or else just saying, I'll see you next year, and that was it. That was all the sort of interchange we had with, the communication we had in the classroom. So, what happened then? At the time, I decided that what I was going to do with my teaching career was going to be teach English, right? Because this is what exactly I like. I love being with children. I can't stand being in a classroom just doing paperwork in the sense of correcting exams, preparing exams, planning lessons for people who all they want to do is really pass the exam, and that's all, full stop. So, when I decided to do that, I went on to work in Cambridge for a while, and I just want to show you, I'm not trying to sell the book, I'm just going to show you the book. This was the grammar tables, which is a very, very good grammar book, and as a Spanish student at the time, or teacher, I was able to enlarge the possibilities of writing with phrasal verbs and other prepositions and other problems we had with, the ones who are native speakers of English in this classroom might not be aware of the great difficulties that the non-native speakers of English have when it comes to phrasal verbs and all that. So my collaboration with these grammar tables was good for the writers in Cambridge, and I'm very proud that at the time, I could help. So I feel this is part of my life too. But then from there, I decided to move on to children, and I decided to think, well, what are we going to do with young children? I mean, they need to speak English the same way as we speak Catalan or Spanish in the house. So how can we do that? So the only thing that occurred to me was to do it in the most natural way possible, which is talking to children in English from birth, and just doing the natural things you do, the same things I did with my son, the same things that you do with children when they approach you, and you say, hello, how are you? And you sort of show him colors, and you sing songs, and you sing rhymes to him. And little by little, we set up our own methodology. We set up, it took some time, because some people are in this room. There are people in this room who've been working there, and they know that the beginnings were very difficult, because people thought that taking children to an art gallery, for example, to see pictures, right, was something crazy. And taking children to, let's say, a shop to see and discover the names of the fruit while they touched it was also another crazy thing, because you were supposed to have one-year-old ones, toddlers at home, well looked after, and maybe sing a song, and that was all. And some parents came to us and said, well, they will learn English later on when they are older. There's no point in bringing them now. I mean, what are you going to do with the baby, right, apart from changing nappies? Well, what we can do with the baby, apart from changing nappies, is a lot, right? So it's something that I would call a very natural approach to English. It's just using English with them the same way as I would use with a friend, okay? Obviously, there are lots of exercises which can be done in a way that you can see there's a teacher's mind behind it. But on the whole, you can approach English in a very natural way. And the best way to do it, I suppose, if you have children, the ones who are native teachers and have children, we were talking before about your daughters. So the ones who have children will probably realize that if you sing songs, kids are able, and you read rhymes to them, kids are able to memorize extremely long sentences, okay? And as for vocabulary, they don't need to understand exactly the meaning of each word. They acquire it slowly as they sing, and as they use it, and as they see it on pictures. And so you build up that vocabulary, that confidence in them in a very natural way. And so these kids grow up doing English through art, through music, through yoga, through lots of other activities which I'm really lucky to be able to offer them, because this is the type of school I run. Being a private what I would call a public, but being private school, I can choose my own program. And I'm lucky enough to have a good team who understands exactly what we're doing, right? And the way we want to do it. And that's the way we try to work with kiddies. So, one day I sort of thought, why not write our own rhymes? I know that it may sound very sort of strange or difficult to think you're writing a book. Believe me, I never sort of set out to the fact of thinking I'm going to write a book about, for kiddies at all. It was just my experience of thinking, well, when they're 2, they brush their teeth, they do this, they do that. We show them vocabulary about policemen, about, the Red Cross comes to town and sort of has a big van there, comes to visit us, and we hop in and we sort of see all the material inside. And I thought, well, this helps children to be less worried about what an ambulance looks like. You see, when an ambulance turns up in case of an emergency at home, so why not use it? Then we thought, a garden. Okay, let's grow vegetables. So let's plant flowers when the time comes. So what happens? By doing this, kids become in love with the activities, and at the same time, they have great respect for nature. So there you are. And we thought, well, Christmas time comes, and we have a tree, a big tree. But our tree has no Christmas decorations on it. We just set up little hearts with the kids' names. And why do we do that? Because every time a child brings a toy which is a second-hand toy in good condition, leaves it under the tree, and then we stick that little label on the tree, right, with the name. We always end up sticking little labels with everybody's name, even the ones who don't bring toys. But the main thing is, by doing this action, we teach kids solidarity. We teach kids to share things. And what is important is that when they see their toys underneath the tree, they think, well, that's my toy. They recognize it. And then obviously they cry because they want it back. So we let them take it, don't we, Chris? We let them take it, and they play for a little while, and then they put it back. And then we have Father Christmas who comes to visit us. And we have to explain children why the toys are there. And this year what we did was, okay, you give away a toy, and we're going to give you something in return. So this way you teach children the value of sharing. Right? And we wrote a little story in the classroom, and we read it to the kids with Father Christmas there. We read the story, and we told the children how important it was for them to be able to give away something they had already used for other children who didn't have anything. Now, through actions like this, with the giving tree, with nature, with anything else that we may be doing, like, singing songs, yoga, etc., we have the way of working with English and loving English and making, which is more important, people love English. So when these kids reach an age of 3, unfortunately, they have to go. They go to an ordinary school. But then they come back to us and we carry on with this work. And then what happens, you realize there's a great, great difference in speaking. Well, obviously not in writing because we haven't reached that stage yet, but in speaking. Right? And in confidence as well, in the way they interact with each other using English as a very natural way of speaking with their little vocabulary or reduced vocabulary, because you have to take into account that these kids are only, at the time when they come back, they are 3 or 4. So you'd be surprised to see how much they have grasped in the time they've been there as little babies, right? So, by doing this, by doing all this work, I thought, well, I'm going to write little rhymes that show exactly what activities we're doing, and they can maybe use for teachers in case they want extra help, or if not, it doesn't really matter. I didn't really write this book in the sense of having it published. It was going to be like the Christmas tree, the giving tree story. It was going to be something for us, for our school. I must say, brackets, open brackets, I must say that I'm always willing to help anybody who wishes to sort of know what we do, close brackets. You may have your own businesses, whatever, we have ours. But when it comes to knowledge, I think this is universal. I don't mind sharing it. I don't mind sharing ideas. You can go into our web. You can see how we work. You can copy the activities we do because I think they are there for teaching children. Therefore, it's not a secret. Whatever can help children is available to you absolutely free, right? So that brings me to this point. I was going to say, I didn't write the book to sell it, okay? Or for anyone to buy it, sorry. I simply wrote it because I thought, well, I think the rhymes are going to help kiddies. And why not? You know, let's do. Oh, okay. It's just that, you know, I've got the temperature. So I'm boiling hot, so I don't notice the blue light on the red. And I thought this might make me look better. Right? So anyway. So one of the things we did was, well, we talked with the teachers, with Peter Bendel and all other linguists in Cambridge. And I said, look, I've written this, can you just check it? Because I always ask for a double check, you know, not being a native speaker. So you always think, maybe I'll use a preposition or a word in the wrong place or a comma. Okay, so I like to have it checked up by these people. And they said to me, gosh, they said, why don't you just put it all together and we're going to publish this book in Cambridge? Because it actually fulfills the 4 skills of a language. And I said, what? They said, yes, it fulfills the four skills. So you have got, on the one side, you have got the rhyme, which obviously it hasn't got a CD yet or a recording because I've just put this book together some time ago, not long ago. So you've got the reading text, and then on the other side you've got the filling gaps, the gap filling exercise for the kids. You have also got the bonus of colouring, which is the creative part. They can actually do the same colouring as the book, or you can allow them to do their own, which is free to their sort of mind, and it makes them, you know, choose whatever they want to. And on top of that, then you can go down to the writing bit as well. And why not put it all together and just see what happens? So, well, I took it as a joke. But then, next time I went to Cambridge, they said, Diane Winkley, one of a very good, she's a teacher and a teacher trainer, said to me, listen, I'm determined to publish this book. I think you should do it. So I did it. And, you know, they sort of, I went to Heifers in Cambridge and they took it. And I thought, great, you know, but I've never really felt like a writer. I'm a teacher at heart. So, you know, it wasn't really all that great thing. But then when I came back here at Christmas, we had to collect money for those kids we give the toys to. So we thought, okay, I'm going to take these books to Caselles. I had a presentation. I was lucky enough to have Sue over there. It was a very sentimental moment because many people, people you see in your life sort of and you haven't seen for a long time turn up. It's not the case of Sue because we see each other from time to time, but other people. And I was glad that Sue also took her time off to come along. And we thought, okay, let's put the book on sale in the bookshop. And whatever we get from this book, we give it to this association of children and we help them, right? As it wasn't meant to be a book for business. And that's the way we're doing it. So what I have decided today for you, very briefly, you can actually have the lesson plan in front of you, is to show you roughly just a few points and then you can read it at home because I'm not going to ask you to do anything at all, not after a long morning anyway. The lesson plan I prepared for you, by the way, I wouldn't like to forget that Sonia Alins, a lovely designer from Lleida, right, did all the drawings. She's won a few prizes. I mean, she makes the book really, really beautiful. And she's done all the drawings. She understood that I wanted very simple lines. I wanted something extremely, extremely clean looking. And I think it was great. She got my idea. So anyway, so what we do with this, this lesson plan is prepared for children who can already have a good task in conversation. They can talk But I was going to say to you, either with the book or whatever book you use, never be afraid of using English at any level. Any activities, any kind of activities can be converted, can be changed into a lower level or a higher level, depending on your creativity and the needs in your classroom. And sometimes you find that right now, because there are so many books in the market, we don't have to worry so much about setting up exercises. But because I've still got this mind of having to work with children and try to see what I can offer them and try to not rely on books so much, that's why I set up all this planning. And I did it thinking that today we were going to work, I do it with very young children with lots of miming and singing, etc. But with you, because we've been doing the young learners tests, I thought this would be a good way of helping you with this picture. I don't know if Sue have you given them this and the picture as well, or just the plan? Okay, so sorry. Anyway, you can actually get on the web and maybe get the picture if you need to, and the others
on our webpage as well.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So you will see how we introduce, either with flashcards or we introduce the pictures in point 1, policeman, fireman, postman. Obviously, we sort of pay a lot of attention to the pronunciation as well, the schwa in man. Then we indicate, we ask them to repeat in groups, then, at random, 1, 2, 3, whoever. We let them quite free to do so. And then we carry on asking them questions about who they are and what exactly their uniforms mean. I chose this one because we've just been working with a British, well, I was going to say the British Red Cross. No, we get emails from them. We've been working with the Lleida Red Cross, right? And I thought it would be nice that you had some vocabulary and saw exactly how we could extract a lesson plan from just this picture. Obviously, you can make it easier. With little children, what we do, we just dress up in the classroom, We try to find, we make it with paper, or we try to find scarves or helmets, whatever we've got, and we pretend to be policemen or firemen or whatever we wish to be, right? So anyway, you've got this lesson plan. You've got different drills, as you can, some of you are already reading them, so you can read them better maybe at home, but there are lots of drills, and in each drill you can introduce a new item. You can use words like colors, you can use questions. I don't know if you have found out the same thing as I have. Along all these years of my history as a teacher, I have discovered that we tend to ask people to answer questions all the time. Okay, we say to them, what color are the uniforms? And obviously, any child or anybody who's in the classroom will say blue. And that's it. And we think, oh, great, what a good teacher I am. And we say, is this a sort of, is the person wearing a helmet or not? Oh, yes. And that's it. And we say, good, he understood me. And then we say, is, for example, do you know a policeman? Or do we know a policeman in the neighborhood? And the kids just look at you and say, oh, yes, my dad's a policeman. Or the other one says, no. Or the other one says, yes, and that's it. Well, I feel frustrated. I don't know if you do, and if you have realized what I'm aiming at. The problem when teaching a language is not like I'm doing all the talking, like I'm doing now, and you're doing the listening, right? So in the classroom, we tend to do that. And it's not that we don't do it well. We try to do it the best way we know and the best way we can. But obviously, sometimes what we need is what we've done today, standing up, going around the walls, looking at the big posters or whatever we've got in the classroom. I'm sure wherever you teach, you can find, you can cut whatever drawing from a newspaper or maybe from a color magazine and stick it on a big cardboard and just use it and make people talk about it. Obviously, depending on the year, how old your students are, then you have got different way of approaching these students. But you can do that with rhymes, you can do that with songs. It's important that the kids have got a good intonation when reading them. It's important that the kids listen to music a lot, because that helps. Well, I'm from the Beatles era, so I can tell you that, you know, you will see it in a little poem that I've written about the peace, which I'm going to hand out in a minute, as on the 30th, it's the non-violence day, no violence day, so that's the sentence, let it be. So sometimes without realizing it, things crop up in my mind, and I go back to Beatles words and Beatles songs. And I remember that I learned a lot from those periods when I listened to that music, okay? So anyway, mainly I would like you to just have a look at this and think that with this extract, and if you had the pictures, then you obviously you have got the gut feeling. I'm sure you can get a copy of this. At least it can help you for one lesson, right? And you can exploit it at your own ease and the way you like. But it may be helpful. So this is what the book is about. So there are about 18 rhymes, and all you do is you work on habits, colors, nature, jobs, etc. So if anybody is interested, it's still on sale, 10 euros, and I'll tell you that I don't get a penny for it, or in a euro in that case, it goes all to charity. So it's a good buy for your, you know, but I said I wasn't coming to sell you any books, right? Therefore, I'll stop with this, and I would like to show you one which has just come to my hands with this blue egg, which I've been holding all morning. You probably thought, what a funny woman, if anybody has seen me. Now, this funny egg, right, this blue egg, goes with this storybook. I don't know where it's on sale at the moment, because all I've done is the translation. This has been my other experience. One was grammar books, and grammar for old people, you know, older people. Then young things like rhymes, and I'm more now into translation and writing things as well, apart from playing with children and singing and having a good time with them. Now, you can find this storybook. I don't know exactly where, to be honest, because it's very recent. It just got to us about, what, a week ago. But it's really excellent. Two teachers from Cambrils wrote the storybook. And the storybook is to teach values. So when a child is he gets in a tantrum, right? They tell you exactly what to do at the end of the book with the tantrum. You don't know what to do in the classroom. I don't know what to do when a child gets in that state. But apparently he has to hold the egg. You tell him to hold his egg, right? And then you tell him to hold it, and he has to say some magic words from the book. The story is really pretty, okay? You have to tell him these magic words, and the child holds the egg, and then he has to take the egg and put it inside a little box or in a little basket and keep it either in his room or somewhere where he knows he can go to and get it if he's ever in need of it, okay? Which shows you that is teaching him to be responsible and also to mind, you know, to look after his own things. And I thought it was a brilliant idea when they told me about it, and they said, would you like checking, because one of the teacher's son was a student of a Cambridge Cambridge student, and said to me, would you mind just checking it in English? And I said, well, okay, obviously it was done as sort of a straight translation from Catalan into English, so I changed it all. I was a bit sorry to have changed so much, so I told them I asked for permission, and I said, excuse me, I'm going to send it to Cambridge again and have it revised just in case. And so eventually we put it all together. We left a few things which they wanted, like, for example, the beginning of the book says the history of. Well, I would have said the story of, but I mean, that's just an opinion, right? Because you can either, in that case, you can use either one or the other. Anyway, it was absolutely fantastic, and I thought it's a good use as well. And I brought it mainly, again, not to sell it, because I don't know when they sell it here, but mainly to say how important it would be for you to have a book like this, a storybook, whatever, which is in Catalan and in English. And when you're reading the story to the child, if he doesn't read, it doesn't matter. You can read it you can read it in English, but if you have any problems with vocabulary or expressions or whatever, you've always got the reference in Catalan. Okay, so I think it's quite a good tool. And that's about all when it comes to books. But I'm very persistent because I like writing, and I thought I would bring you something which might help you too, because I was in the summer and I thought, well, George and the Princess and the Dragon, let's sort of write a little play for the classroom, okay, a classroom play. And I brought you a copy. We haven't used it yet. We're going to use it. We're going to use it in June. But you're welcome to have a copy. And if you think it's so simple, you know, it's just like the princess, like the red dragon says, "Princess, where are you? Where are you?" And the princess replies, "Here I am. Here I am. Who are you?" So you start with the wheres and the whos, but a very, very simple dialogue. But to make the child understand the importance of what St. George is doing by saving the princess, right? So this is one. Then the other one that I told you before is the No Violence Day, and I would like to read it to you, if you allow me to, and with this I'll finish. I don't know how we're going for time, but I'm going to finish, yeah?
My birthday as well.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah, I'm the most peaceful person.
Yeah? Right. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to dedicate this poem to you. Right? Because it's still not used. We're going to use it with children. All I can say is we have been preparing the craft. And the craft is just that little dove. And the kids have painted their the tip of their fingers, and it looks really pretty. And we printed it this morning in a hurry with grease. So I'm sorry, it's not done nicely in the middle of the paper, whatever. You can do that, right? So let me read it. It goes for everybody, but especially for the lady. It says, very simple for children, okay? Peace for you, peace for me, love for us all, let it be. That's where the Beatles come from. Spread the words around the world, smiles and goodwill everywhere. Let's hold hands, let's stop violence. Let's remember that we can. Love for you, love for you, love for me. That's the way to inner peace and understanding. No more violence in the streets. Okay, that's as simple as that. Now, with these, the kids, you can make them learn, not the whole poem, but you can make them learn a sentence or two. And one which is important is that one, no more violence in the streets. So then you can color their hands in white. You can do it in the classroom with even 7, 8-year-old ones, and they love it. And they all hold hands up, and, you know, they say, stop violence. Doesn't matter what kind of violence, in the streets. No violence for anybody. Okay? People, animals, nature. We have to sort of take care of everything which is around us. And with these last words, and I'm going to pass this around to you, I would like to thank you. I'm feeling terrible, I'm sorry, but I couldn't not turn up. I've got a temperature, and I'm boiling hot at the moment. But it's been a nice morning. You know, I've disconnected from sort of the ibuprofens and all that, and being with you has brought me back to being a teacher as well, preparing exams, which at the moment I don't need to do anymore. I'd rather sort of stick to other things. But I would like you to say something which I wrote at the back of my book. Well, I know it by heart. A teacher's fulfillment comes when what you're doing, your job, and your love for it blends together, right? So whenever you're in the classroom, when I said about taking kids to an art gallery or doing art with them or painting, you don't have to be an expert at being an artist or an expert at knowing a lot of art. You just have to be a teacher who loves what he or she is doing. You have to be a person who shares the knowledge with other people. And I know that we live in a town where there's a lot of rivalry between schools, academies, and all that. There shouldn't be such a thing. I think a day like today brings us all together. It's beautiful. And if we can help students, that's what we are here for. Our mission is to teach, and that's the way I feel and the way I wanted to share it with you. Okay? Right, that's it. Thank you.